Fill me in, obviously, going from 93 to 87 in 2 months is pretty cool, right?
Do you know what? It's less than 2 months, man. I was 90, I think I was like 94 before I started at the beginning of July. I think I'll check that. And then I started like mid-July, 2.5 weeks, I think, before my wedding. And I was like, am I doing the right thing here? Like, is this the right time to start? Like, I'm not going to lose that much weight 2 weeks. Like, I got the wedding stress. Am I even going to be able to keep up with this? And then here we are, like literally a month later, and I'm like 6 kilos down. I'm like nearly 6 kilos down. I'm just like, okay, that's crazy. The first week was like insane.
That's mental.
Like,
So, like, what was that decision then to be like, right, I am doing this? Like, what was the motive behind that?
do you know what? It's like when I messaged you on Instagram, right? When I said to you, like I've tried to do it by myself and I couldn't do it. I've always been like very keen about my health and my fitness, right? From a young age, like sports has been ingrained in me for such a long time. And it was going well right up until I got 10, 20, 21. I started working, desk job, being active, went out the window. Gym started, but playing football, all that started. But then when you start earning money, right, you start spending more money on food, more food, right? But lunch at a young age was like falafel wraps, the big wraps, like hummus, cheese, whatever, right? Nando's late at night, peri pepes, whatever, right? And you don't care at that age. I literally did not care. It just, my sister always said it to me at that time as well, you're eating all this crap, it's going to catch up with you. And it did. And my sister's always right when she says this kind of stuff. She's 5 years older than me, so she knows. And it caught up with me, and basically I went on this like crazy like fad. I'd say it's a complete fad. Like what I did was, I only ate in a 4-hour time window, so I was doing a 24-hour thing, and I wouldn't eat for 20 hours. And my breakfast and my lunch was basically just like avocado and toast and chili paneer. I was doing that for like 5 to 6, and because it was COVID, it was perfect because I wasn't going anywhere, so I wasn't spending money on takeaway or whatever. And then everything opened up, and I saw my weight slowly creeping back up. And then I came to Dubai to see my sister, and everything stopped. The gym stopped, eating healthily stopped. Well, I say healthily, all of that stopped. Like the plan that I was sticking to just stopped, right? And like my brother-in-law loves to get takeaways. We'll just order a takeaway for lunch, for dinner, or for breakfast even. And gym stopped. And I came back and I was like 86, 87. So I'd gained about 5 kilos in the space of a month. And then 4 months later, I got COVID. And COVID really it messed me up quite a bit. Like I was out of it for like 2 weeks. And then after that, my weight just shot up like ridiculously. I was up to like 92, 93. And ever since then, I never dropped below 90. I was in a sort of a period of denial for like a good part of 2020 and most of half of 2023, where I was like, oh no, it's fine, it will sort itself out. But I was getting older, and your weight doesn't just drop off, it actually increases, right? As I get older, if I'm sticking to if I was sticking to my old food regime. And then I obviously then messaged you in 2023. I had a chat with Declan, and then I still didn't go ahead with that at that time. I was like, nah, you know what? I can do this on my own. I don't need this. And prior to that, in March, actually, I had a chat with another personal trainer, but it didn't work out. So I was like, oh, maybe I might have the same experience. I had a very bad experience. I was like, maybe it'll work. It won't work out. Maybe I'll get the same thing. I was like, in my head, right? You probably heard this a million times as well. I was like, what does a white guy know about Asian food?
Always, every day.
Always, exactly. And I was like, in my head, honestly, that's what I said to myself. I was like, what does he actually know? I was like, in this culture, I should know more. But then as the year went on, I was like, do I actually know? I questioned myself for a long time. I was like, do I know what I'm eating? In March of this year, my sister said to me, this was before she joined, she was like, oh, you should try Nathan. You should try Autonomy. And I was like, nah, you know what? The wedding's coming up, and like, I don't have time. There's so much stuff going on. I was making up all these excuses, right? All the excuses you could think of. In June, she then asked me again. She was like to me, because she was coming over in July, and she said to me, oh, do you have a scale? And I was like, yeah, I've got the Renfrew scale. And she was like, oh, cool, I'll need it. And she never asked me these type of questions ever when she comes over. So I was like, okay, I know what it is. I'm not stupid. So I asked her, I was like, oh, are you doing Autonomy? She goes, yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I really thought about it, and I was like, you know what? Let me do it. Let me just like pull the pin, just do it, see what happens. If it doesn't work out for me, at least personally, I can say that I tried to do it. But at the same time, like, I wanted to change around my weight was a big problem for me. I kept feeling like walking up the stairs, man, it was a joke. Like I would get tired, out of breath, and I could feel like this. I said it to my trainer, I said it to Vanu the other week, like this the fat that hangs at the end of the bottom of your stomach, the gut, like I could feel that weight. And when I was running or like walking or going for a jog, and I didn't want to feel like that, like, and I wasn't looking good in my clothes, I was getting the stretch marks around the stomach area, and I was just like, nah, can't do this anymore. Like I don't want to be 40, and I say this all the time, I don't want to be 40 with health issues and all sorts of like, having to go to hospital and taking taking that like pills and all this sort of stuff. And I was like, I just want to be 40, fit and healthy, and like being able to keep up with my kids at that point if we ever decide to have kids. I don't want to be like every other bloke, Indian bloke that's out in the, in the pubs and stuff with a beer belly and like is struggling for breath and things like that. I was like, I can't do that. That's not. So I was like, I have to change now. If I don't change now, then it will be tough. The more I leave it, the harder it gets. Now I was like, the gym side of it, because I was going gym, but I know you can never outwork a really shit diet. It's just not possible. I knew that from early on, and I was still trying to do it. But this is where I was like, okay, no, you know what? I need to understand what I'm eating. I need to understand, again, portions was a big thing for me. I would scoff food down. Me and my fiance at the time, we would go out for dinner, we would get dessert, and then at like midnight, we would then go and get a whole McDonald's meal.
That's impressive.
Like you think, right? Like, how did we actually do that? We're talking chips, chili cheese bites, a veggie burger, full meal, and a full fat Coke, both of us. And I was just like, yeah, how did we do that? We talk about it all the time now. I was like, we don't do it anymore. But we were like, how did we actually manage to do that? Like, that was ridiculous. Like, I get it, we were young, dating and whatever, like the joys of dating, but it's just like, it was not healthy. It was not sustainable. And I think that in part, fed into me always being over 90 kilos. And I hate it. I said to myself, if I get to 95, I got a serious problem. I never touched 95. I was very close. And then now here we are. Like, I pulled the pin. I was 88 this morning. So I was a little bit over from the day before, but like, I have not gone to 90 since I dropped below it. And I know that Venu wants me to get to 86 before my honeymoon. My honeymoon's in September. So I was like, I got 18 days left. I was like, the progress, the way I'm doing right now, I can get to 86 and I can probably get to 85 if I stick to it. Like, I know I can do it just because I know my body. Like, everyone knows themselves. Everyone knows their body. So once you understand what you're putting into yourself, you can get there. That's where we are. And that's why I'm here now.
Yeah. Because once you get that moment where you kind of put the input in and you get the output out, it rarely changes. Normally people change the input. So it's like, if you know that you've dropped this amount in this time frame, outside of the water weight at the beginning, that week 2 to week 4, that's predictable and repeatable. So you know that you can go now till, where are you going for your honeymoon?
We're going to Bali.
Nice. Good choice.
We're going to Bali, and then we're doing Doha on the return, just because we're flying with Qatar anyway. So we're like, but we've always wanted to go Bali, always.
It's really a good time of year to go as well.
Yeah.
So that's going to be awesome. And then obviously the dietary side, I think, was something of a like kind of concern coming into this, with the food side of things as well. So how was the catering for your dietary needs?
So do you know what? It was 1,800 calories I looked at, and I was like, no way. Like, this is 500 calories per meal and then 300 for a snack. I was like, that's hard. That's tough. I can't do that. But then that was me thinking the old way, right? Where I was just, I don't think about what I eat. I was like, all right, you know what? No, this is a new start. It's a fresh. Let me see what happens. And I looked at the meal swaps list, and I was like, and then Vane was actually talking me through it. So like, you can choose from any of these. So I was like, I had a look at them. I was like, you know what? Cocoa Pops, I can do that. Let's try that. Bowl of Cocoa Pops with some milk, 1 scoop of protein powder and peanut butter. The first day I did it, I put it into the Trainerize app, and I saw it came up to about 378 calories. It's probably a little bit more, but I was like, okay, that's still under 500 calories. I looked at it and I was like, that can't be 500 calories or less. But then I ate it, and like, it was a game changer for me, because I wasn't like, literally instantly, it was a game changer because I wasn't full. I wasn't hungry until lunch approached. Whereas previously I would get hungry within an hour, within 2 hours. I would be peckish. And I was like, no, this is actually like kept me content. And then by the time lunch comes, I'm not overly hungry where like I need to like, it's like whatever I've got in my house is whatever's left. It's like, no, hungry, but I'm like, okay to eat a little bit more. And then the whole lunch thing. And again, I weighed out 40 grams of dry ride pasta. And I was like, I looked at it and I was like, is he fucking kidding me? I was like, what is this? Because I'm so used to such a big bowl of pasta. I looked at that. I messaged him and I was like, this can't be right.
Are you sure? Yeah, it's a mistake. You're missing a zero.
Yeah, like we're missing something here. But then I started, having veg with it, and then I realized, okay, it's actually what I'm doing is I'm concentrating all my calories into one meal. I'm not, or even like what I'm eating is all going into one meal. Whereas if I spread it out a little bit, like I am doing with my breakfast, my lunch, and my dinners, it makes a huge difference. And now, my sister will tell you this. I was like, I never hated it, and she saw me eating kale the other day, and she was like to me, "Oh, you're right." Like, honestly, you speak to her, she'll just be like, "You never used to touch veg." She had to convince me that this sounds so stupid. Yeah, when I went over, she made lasagna, and I saw something that was purple in the lasagna. She goes to me, it was purple potato, and I believed it, because if she told me, I can't remember what it was, but it was another type. No, it was some other type of veg. I never would eat it if she told me. I was one of those people, if you told me what's in the food, and if it's any sort of veg, or if it's broccoli, spinach, or anything like that, I would not touch it. But if I'm eating it and you haven't told me, I'll just eat it. So that was the extent of veg. Like, I would not eat it, and now I'm just eating it with my lunch and my dinners all the time. And it's been massively, it's been so good for me. Like, it's changed me, obviously physically, but mentally as well. Like, it's helped me think a lot more clearly. My sleep is improving a little bit day by day as well. But I never used to get that much veg down me at all. And I think the 500, 300 helps massively, because now it's like, okay, even if I can't eat out the meal slots list, like what's in a 500 calorie that's still healthy to a certain extent? Where can I get my veg in possible? Where can I get my protein in? And that sort of mentality, that thinking, it helps me cut down the portion and also make sure I don't eat crap unnecessarily. So yeah, it's been a massive game changer, man. Like honestly, it's been so good.
That's been great. I know that the house is very like a Swaminarayan based, right? So it's not exactly the normal diet that you can throw anything into, right? I know a lot of people from the community, like most of my early clients when I first started were Swaminarayan, and like, oh, no, we just can't get in shape. There was lots of like narratives. How's that been for you in terms of having the autonomy diet, should we say, within the Swaminarayan frame?
It's been, do you know what? It hasn't been that much of an issue for me, because for me, I'm quite flexible. I'm quite simple when it comes to food, right? Like I'll just look at the list and be like, okay, I can have this, this, and this. It just means that, you know, certain of my like my chili paneer, for example, at home can't have onion and garlic, so it's not a big deal for me. I've grown up in that lifestyle where at home I've never been able to have it, but as soon as I step outside the house, it's okay. I can eat it. So if I go to a restaurant, it's okay, but I don't miss it at home. It's not like I need it at home. I'm gonna die if I don't have it. So it's been quite easy for me to just stick to what's on the meal swaps list most of the time, and like just adjust accordingly. Like, you know, my sauces ain't a lot anyway. Like realistically, the only thing I'm having onion and garlic with would usually be a chili paneer. Anything else, it won't be with it. I'm quite easy to adapt to it, so it's worked out really well in that sense.
So I know that you said that you wanted to kind of get that footballer physique and kind of get everything in place. So do you think what you have right now is definitely going to be suitable, sustainable to be able to do that?
I think so, because I think now I'm starting to gain more control over what I'm eating. I'm able to say no to a lot of things externally. Like right now, for example, you know, we got samosas, jalebi, ganka, standard Sunday morning breakfast for an Indian household, right? And I've just said no to the jalebi and to the sambar and stuff like that. I've just had literally 2 pieces of samosa, a little bit of ganka, like 2 or 3 pieces, and that was it. It's helped me say, the biggest thing is it's helped me say no, and that means that I can achieve what I want to achieve, which is that footballer physique. You know, I want to go back to playing football on a regular basis, but I've always wanted that physique. I know I'm sort of built for that physique because I've been playing sport for a long time, and I think just by being able to say no alone, which is what the autonomy diet is helping me do, I think I can get there very easily. Again, it's just about being consistent for me. As long as I'm consistent, and I said to Venu the other day, you know, obviously I had a week off for the wedding, and you know, I did nothing, no reporting, nothing. He did not hear from me from a week, and then I came back and I said to him, like, the biggest challenge for me is coming back and going back to a routine, because previously, you know, I've gone on holiday for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I've come back and I've just carried on eating shit. Or before that, like, yeah, holiday, beach, you know, I'm gonna look really good for this. I've come back and I'm just like, yeah, carry on the junk food, carry on all of that crap. I've like walked into a gym and I'm just like, do I even belong here? This was on previous time. And now, like, literally I come back and I'm like, no, I need to get to the gym Friday morning. It has to happen Saturday morning. It doesn't matter if it's only one day for that week, carry on. Obviously, this has been a little bit more of an adjustment period, just because my sister's around, and the routine in general is out the window a little bit, in terms of food and stuff. But like, I'm still coping. I'm still doing better than I used to. I think it's a good example and it's a good way for me to learn how to manage. And I think this diet, again, it helps me do that. The accountability that I get from Venu as well, it helps me do that. So it's massive. And I think it will definitely help me.
For sure. Every time you come back off those holidays, like even still, like I go on holiday, we were in Nairobi, the motherland, last weekend, and it was still come back Tuesday and you're like, oh, shall I go to the gym, or shall I get the takeaway, or should we just go and get this, that and the other? I think the days get shorter. It never just stops in one go. It just goes, beforehand it was a 3-week bender afterwards, then it becomes 2 weeks, then it becomes 10 days, then it becomes 7, and then maybe it's still 1 and 2, but one's better than 25, you know? So
exactly,
it's always those important factors. And you said about the saying no, so how did you do that with the people around you? Like, did you find it easy to say no to people?
At first it was very difficult, especially with my wife's side of the family. They love their food. Like, Nathan, do you know, if you were here, like, one of her cousins, if you go to their house, you have to go with an empty stomach. It's dinner, but you cannot eat the whole day, because they start with the starters, then there's the mains, and then there's the dessert. Before the starters and before the mains and before the desserts, there's always a shot, so you have to have that. And then 3 o'clock in the morning, we're still there, having a time of lives. Her cousin, air fryer, comes out chips. Does anyone want? Like, it's hard to say no to that kind of stuff, right? Especially when you're having a good time.
And it's 3 a.m. It's the perfect time for chips at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Exactly. But like, they all love to eat, and I'm like that as well. Like, my appetite is huge. I love to have food. I'm not going to say no to a lot of things, right? Especially, you know, if someone's making for me, if it's takeaway or something like that. At first, it was very hard. hard. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. Or like, I had to come up with excuses a little bit. I was like, I've left home and I've eaten, or I ate about an hour ago or something like that. So it would make more sense for me it gave them a little bit more sense as to why is he not eating? Because they would question me, it would be like very weird. It's like, hold on, why is he not eating? He always loves to eat food. But if I said to them, oh yeah, I only ate an hour ago, or I just ate before I came, it would be okay. It would be acceptable. But now, because some of the cousins from Australia, you know, they're also quite into the health and fitness and stuff, it's been easy for me to relate to them a little bit. And now, like, my mother-in-law, she gets it as well. Like, she understands that, you know, I'm trying to lose weight and I'm just trying to control the portions and stuff. But the first time I went over to her house, I think it was the first or the second week I was in Autonomy, and we had chili paneer wraps, and I have like 3 or 4 of those, right? On a like outside of all of this, I had one, and she looked at me and she was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, she was like to me, "Is something wrong with you?" And I was like, "No, I'm just trying to cut my portions down. I'm just trying to be sensible, you know." And the wedding was a great excuse, man, honestly, because everyone was like, "Yeah, you have to fit into a suit, like it has to work, right?" And now, because I've been more open about it, this was the thing, I didn't want to tell anyone because I was scared of being judged about it. But my wife has always had my support, even when she was my fiance. Like, she had massive support. She's always supported me. She always said to me, "Look, if you're going to do this, do it properly, and I'll support you. Like, you know, I'll make sure, like, you know, no one says shit, basically. And if people question it, you know, she'll explain it to them if they don't understand. Especially more so on her side of the family. But yeah, she's always on this one. That's always been a great help for me. It's been a great like push and a great foundation for me to start off with. But now I'm so open. I was like, you know what? Like, when I got to 87 before my wedding, I was telling Venu, I was losing weight over the weekend. Like, over my wedding weekend, I was like, that should not be happening, because it's wedding weekend. It's an Indian wedding weekend. Food is just there.
You didn't go hard enough, did you? That was it. That's
No, clearly not. And I was just like, okay, no, this is great. Like, I'm 87, and like, you know, people are coming up to me on the Mendy night and stuff and saying, oh, you know, you look slim and you've lost weight. Not even a hi, hello, how you doing? It's, you've lost weight. You look really good. Yeah. Like, that was their first opening lines. And I was like, okay, look, like, the compliments are great and stuff. I'm not where I want to be, but I was like, whatever I'm doing is working. Whatever this plan that's been set out for me, you know, I'm sticking to it and it's worked. So I was like, great. I'm going to shout about this, because it's clearly, like, it's that whole, you know, you speaking into existence, but also being satisfied without the actually working hard for the reward. Like, when you say, oh yeah, you're doing something, and then, you know, you get the gratification from other people, says, oh, that's really good, that's really great. Whereas that's what I was a little bit like, you know, weary of. But I was like, you know what, no, like, this is something that I have to talk about, because it's my journey still. I'm still on here. Like, I'm still going to have to be consistent at the end of the day. I'm still going to carry on doing what I'm doing. Yeah, it's been easier after the wedding as well, because now people understand what I'm doing, and they understand that it's for myself and for my own. I'm not one of those preachers that says, oh, just because I'm doing it, you have to do it. So they're okay with that. So it's been good, especially after the wedding. Like, saying no has become easier, a lot more easier. The wedding was an excuse, but now it's just like, yeah, it's cool. Like, he doesn't want it, it's cool.
I think the biggest thing you said then was obviously what your wife said, which is if you're going to do it properly. And I think the biggest thing when it comes to like the art of saying no is, if you've got proof that you break your promise on that word no, no one cares about it. They'll just keep on asking you and ask you and ask you until you break. Whereas like now you've done it repetitive weeks, they're like, no, that's what he does now. That's cool.
Yeah.
And he proved it by being resilient towards it and saying no and not breaking. Because once people know that you break, it's almost like a little test. Can I get him to have the Gatia after the 7th ask or the 8th ask? And it's like a little game that the aunties play, or I would, especially if I was an auntie. That's really, really good. And then with that consistency that you said about, like, are you using anything special to be consistent? Like what type of routine are you in? Like, what's the way that you're creating consistency right now, or before the wedding?
I guess it starts off with the beginning of my day. For me, I'm an early morning person. I like to get a lot of my stuff done early morning. So gym, first thing in the morning, 5 a.m, between 5 and 5:30, I'm in the gym. I have to get that done. That is literally the minimum I set to myself. I wake up every day and I tell myself, you know, even the days I don't want to go gym, I was like, you have to do the things you don't like to do, regardless. It's like a proper Stoic quote. Like, you have to do the thing. Sometimes you're going to hate it, but you still have to do it. We still have to get up and go do work and whatever, right? It starts off with that. And then it's just making sure, you know, breakfast is on time, on at least on a Monday to Friday. And the consistency is just making sure I prioritize myself. I think that's where the consistency comes from. If I start thinking about other people, or if I start saying, oh yeah, so and so will feel bad if I don't eat or whatever, but I'm just like, no, because then I'm not doing myself any favor. So if I look after myself first, make sure my stuff is set in order, like, this is breakfast, lunch. That's not to say, obviously, that, you know, if there's a fat dinner in the evening and I know about it, I'm not going to skip lunch, or I'm not going to skip breakfast. I'll accommodate for it, but it's making sure that I'm just sticking to my routine and sticking to my goal, and always reminding myself, 40 years old, what do I look like at 40 years old? It's 10 years. I'm 30 now. Like, what am I going to look like? And it's that consistent. That is helping me set that consistency of making sure I go to the gym 6 days a week, making sure I get my steps in. And there have been some days where, you know, I've scraped past 10,000 steps literally by by like 6, 7 steps, right? But it's also, like then setting my work, setting that whole, this whole gym, food stuff around my work and my personal life, making it fit in rather than fitting the rest of that around my gym and around my food. Because if I do that, then I'm so antisocial. Like all I'm ever going to think about is my food and my gym. Nothing else takes into consideration. Whereas now I've been able to mold the gym and the food around my personal life and my work life, becomes so much easier. And, I go to work 3 days a week in the office. So again, that's a routine because I know that Monday I'm up early, extra early, making sure I can get more steps in. If I go into the office, I'm doing 10,000 steps anyway, regardless, to and back from the office. So it's very easy. So I just know that I have to meal prep for those 3 days. So I do that in the morning and I meal prep. There might be the odd occasion, where I go get a Subway or something like that. But for Thursday, Monday and Friday, it's home food, essentially. I'm cooking from home. So that's like my set routine a little bit. And then Saturday is a bit more flexible because obviously I'm always out on a Saturday, it's lunch, or I'm out in the evening. So as long as I'm good Monday to Friday, as long as I've got that consistency, going into the office Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, being at home on a Monday and a Friday, I know I'm set for my routine. And nothing really changes in that respect. If I was to go out for dinner in the evening, not the biggest thing in the world because I've accounted for the rest of the day. And it's just making sure I get to sleep on time as well. That's it. And the sleep is the biggest factor for me.
That's awesome. And like when you do have that structure and that routine, it just creates that rhythm of consistency. You're waking up, there's no negotiation. Especially, I think most people should, if they can, if they've got like a 9 to 5 or a 9 to 6 and they've got kids or something like that, or they just need to get like taken care of, the morning time is always the best. It might suck to get up earlier, but just means that nothing gets in the way of it, right? You prioritize yourself first, like you said, and then you let the rest of the day take care of itself. Whoever needs you in the evening to do whatever, then you can do it in the evening.
Yeah, like for me, that between 5 to 7, it's my time essentially. Like that, and I use that time to go to the gym. If I wasn't going to the gym, I'd use it to do something else. But I use that time for me. And gym for me is the best thing to do because I can get my workout in. The gym's always empty, which is great. I hate packed gym, so I can get all of my stuff done. And that is literally a non-negotiable. I said to my wife, I'm still going to carry on waking up at 4:30 to get to the gym. Like if you don't like that, that's tough. Unfortunately, that's just me. And she's a late sleeper. She loves to lie in. She loves a lie in. Whereas I'm the early bird. That's just me. That's what I'm going to do. Like because if I don't do that, she was like, oh no, why don't you try to go to the gym at 7 or like 8 o'clock? I was like, no, because 1, the gym gets too packed. 2, I have to go to work. And I was like, 3, I don't like that. It's just, it throws me out of routine. It's not my routine. I've set 4:30. That is it. That's what I'm comfortable with.
Just buy her a pair of an eye mask, the earbuds. And, I think you can get like 2 separate toppers on the bed so she doesn't move when you move. There you go.
Oh, okay. Sorted then.
Yeah. Secrets. Yeah. But no, I think those are really, really important, especially like in that scenario where she's coming to live with you and there's going to be lots of social events, lots of food, lots of adjustment period. You standing, and it's not standing firm because I'm sure you had a conversation about it. You wouldn't argue. But it's making sure that in those moments where someone else's preferences and also maybe some convenience still doesn't pull you away from maybe the stuff that you were doing. If you were on your own on an island, would you do that routine? Yes or no? And if the answer is yes, then you still do that. I still sometimes today, I'm a people pleaser, so if my missus is like, oh, should we go to the gym at this time? And luckily I can move my schedule around fine, but I still get caught in that. And I'm like, if I wasn't able to do that and I was going to the office from 9 to 6, I would be toast. So it's really, really interesting. You mentioned about that goal of obviously wanted to be 40 and got to hit that goal. Have you read the book Infinite Game?
No, never heard of it.
But basically it's the concept that you're trying to do there with your fitness, but people do it with every goal in their life. So they set goals that are way further ahead, that are like 10-year goals, 20-year goals. And it seems to be better for motivation, discipline, routine, because you're not having these like short bursts of whatever it is. It's like I recently set one very similar. I was like, I want to be 50, I want to be jacked, and I want to be lean, and that's what I want at 50. And now all my goals from now till then, which is another 17 years away, is all towards that. Then you've got all your processes, your actions. So it's actually really good that you've done that without any like reading or anything like that, because that's one of the most useful things to do. Set a really long-term goal and then sort of set a small short-term goals. I send you that book. It's really interesting because you put it into every part of your life and set like an infinite goal for each one. And when you play at the infinite game, it's forever versus just like short-term, and then that's when people go back to what they were doing before. I'm really happy about this. Really, really good to catch up and stuff.